You guys are tuned in to another episode of S&M Radio. I'm Shannon.
Hi, Mark.
And this time we're talking about another new movie, or relatively new anyway. It's, I guess it depends on how you look at it. It's either not quite a year old or it's just about 2 years old. We were talking about Last Shift this episode. And the reason why I said, depending on how you look at it, was because it premiered at a film festival in London, I believe, in October of 2014. But then it wasn't actually released at all anywhere until it was released video on demand last October of 2015. And I don't know, I would assume it got released on DVD and Blu-ray by now. At least I would hope so anyway, in this day and age.
Yeah, that's strange. It's kind of funny because I don't even realize that some of these movies, they're just straight to Netflix and Amazon and all that stuff, and you're not even, are they even being released on Blu-ray anymore? I had no, that never even crossed my mind. But now, when you think about it, it's this movie kind of reminds me of the one we did a few weeks back, Hush, where it's kind of like one of those movies that pops up on Netflix and you never really see any ads for it outside of that, and then you check it out, and here we go.
I would say, too, along those same lines, the same thing we talked about with the last one. I saw this movie originally probably last November or December. Maybe it was January, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But anyway, it was, similar to Hush, where I was seeing all of these posts on Instagram and Facebook and stuff about checking out Last Shift on Netflix and stuff, and oh, cool, and sat down and watched it myself. And I think, like you had said too, a lot of times you don't even see ads for it. And I think what a lot of these movies currently are probably doing is relying on word of mouth more than anything.
Right.
Especially a lot of these, like this one, these real low budget movies. There wasn't anybody in this movie that I recognized at all, and I would have to guess that this movie was done for next to nothing.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Now, kind of how we, we always, one of our little shticks in the show, well, not purposely, but it always seems like we always somehow link everything to John Carpenter's Halloween. So I have a question for you. Since I haven't seen the movie, would you say that this movie is anything like John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13?
A little bit. There was a little bit of some of that to it.
Okay.
I would almost say that there was a few things in this movie that pay homage to that, whether it's intentionally or not.
Okay.
The other real pop culture thing that I would say this movie also reminded me of, aside from Assault on Precinct 13, which maybe it was a mix of the two, but it was almost Charlie Manson and the Family as well. It kind of had that feel to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say that there was a Manson influence to this film, big time.
So I guess we should probably just give everybody a little bit insight to what the plot is of this movie if you haven't figured it out already. So basically this movie is, as we were saying before, it's pretty much one location. The whole thing pretty much happens at an abandoned police station on the last shift of that police station before it is being permanently closed. And it just so happens that a rookie officer, Officer Lauren, is been chosen to work the front desk of the police station during the last shift of the police station's existence. There's a new police station. The way they make it sound like in this movie was right down the road. I don't know how far down the road it is, if it's a mile down the road or 10 miles down the road or what it is. But basically, she has to stay at this police station during this last shift because at some time during the shift, there is a hazmat team that is supposed to be coming in and cleaning out the evidence room or something. So she has to be there while they're going to be doing the disposal of this as evidence that's too difficult to dispose of, or whatever that they were talking about in the movie. So she's there by herself, and it kind of turns into a ghost story, kind of your typical haunting, if you will. At least that's the way that's the feel that I got from it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, after you said that, it sort of brought back sort of the thoughts that it was similar to The Shining almost.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Somebody alone in this, kind of abandoned or vacant place, and they kind of have this supernatural experience, like with spirits, and it has a very, very negative effect on them. So it kind of reminds me of that, like, more I think about it.
I don't want to give too much away as far as the storyline goes and stuff, and I don't think this really will. But the first time I saw this movie, because I've seen it like 2 or 3 times, and the first time I saw it, there's something that happens at the beginning of the movie, and I want to see if you kind of had the same thought with this that I did. And as we said before, she's alone in this police station, and when she's first left alone in the police station, there's really nothing going on. She's sitting at this desk reading a book, and she kind of nods off. And the very first time I saw this movie, I was 100% positive that when she nodded off at that moment, that this whole thing was going to unravel and all this stuff was going to start to happen. And then at the end of the movie, she was going to wake up at the desk.
Interesting. No, I didn't catch that.
Oh, see, I totally...
Oh, wait, was that when the book drops? She's like got that law enforcement book, and it like she's sitting and she's reading it. Was that when she nodded off?
Yeah, it was like right at the beginning of the movie. She like nods off, and like something happens, and she wakes up and she hears like a knocking at the door, and she goes, checks the door, and there's nobody there, and then she turns around, and that homeless guy is standing there peeing on the floor.
Okay, and so you're saying that from that point on is a dream.
That's when I first saw this movie. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Interesting. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't think it really gave too much away.
That's a good concept. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, it would have. Not that it takes anything away from the movie, but I always thought, like, oh, you know what, that would have been kind of cool if.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand the homeless guy, because at first I thought he was like the main. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. I mean, the story is basically, like you said, this rookie cop's hired to take care of to stay be part of the last shift by herself in this police station. And apparently there was this kind of Manson family-like group of people, this guy and a few women who had like kidnapped some girls and were like killing them or something. And then like the cops came and got them. And then this rookie, Officer Lauren's father, was one of the cops who came in to save the girls, and he ends up dying, getting shot during this. So that's why she became a cop, to kind of take part in his legacy or whatever, kind of where he left off, and to make him proud and all that. And then anyhow, they bring these people in, this like cult, like maybe like kind of like a Manson family type thing, and they say that what can you explain that to me again? I only saw the movie once, so basically they said that they were killed in there, like the officers killed them, but then if you find out no, that didn't happen, they killed them, they committed suicide in the jail.
Yeah, because they make it sound like at the beginning of the movie that nothing happened at the jail, but then it turns out that, like, even like you had said too, like her father was killed, but she was always told that happened at this farm or this communion or wherever they were at.
Okay.
But then it comes to, as the story unravels, you find out that all of the stuff happened in the police station, and it was like, I think if I remember right, it was like a year before this all happened that happened. They hung themselves, and like you said, it was this one leader guy, his name was like John Michael Payman. He had this cult.
Yeah, very Manson family type cult type thing.
Yeah, and I was trying to remember too, and I have the Wikipedia page open here in front of me too, and I was trying to remember if they even if they said what the cult was, but I don't remember them really saying what the cult was. The only other really kind of odd thing about the cult, they did say that they were worshiping the king of hell, and there was this like weird song that they kept like kind of singing throughout the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like, they kept saying like basically they thought it was a devil worship cult, but it turned out like it was like when you hear them in their interviews, it was something else.
I think it was Instagram, I posted a picture a couple of weeks ago when I watched this the last time, and somebody commented on it saying, "Oh, I see that popping up in my Netflix queue all the time. Would you recommend it or not?" And I had said, "Well, it depends on what you're into, really. If you're into the kind of the good ghost story with what I would refer to as pretty good jump scares in it, then it's probably something worth checking out. If that's not really your thing, then you're probably not going to really get into it too much." But when I first saw this movie, like you had said, there are more than a few scenes where you're kind of like, whoa! It just kind of gets you. Again, not giving too much away from the story, there is one scene in the movie where Officer Lauren ends up in a holding cell with the homeless guy that was peeing on the floor, and the power goes out, and there is a lone flashlight in the cell with her, and something gets a hold of that flashlight, and like that scene is fairly creepy, at least in my mind it was. There was also a lot of these instances where this John Michael Payman character and some of his followers would make appearances. Some of those scenes were rather creepy. Like, for example, the one towards the end of the movie when stuff really gets going, and the one girl makes an appearance that's all beat up and stuff, and she's like kind of doing that really weird, like kind of creepy crawl and stuff, and in the bookshelves and stuff. Yeah. You're like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty creepy.
I know when we first started doing the show a couple of years ago, one of the things that we had really focused a lot on was older horror movies, and that's not going to go away by any stretch of the imagination. But I think in both of our minds, we really kind of had this thought, hammered into place that old horror is great. And when we say old horror, we're really talking like 70s, 80s stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of
new horror is horrible. But I would have to say, like, in the past, like, 5-10 years, and there's been a few other instances, maybe even going back to the early 2000s, and some stuff in the 90s that's been really good. Recently, it seems like not just all the independent stuff, mainstream stuff is really, really good. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
Of the newer things you're saying?
Yeah, because I just watched, we did an episode on this a couple months ago, but we just rewatched The Boy the other day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
And, that movie is really good.
Krampus.
Yeah, Krampus. I have Krampus. I haven't rewatched it yet, but we do have it. I have this thing with watching holiday-themed movies outside of the holiday.
Yeah, I hear you.
Which kind of makes it hard for horror fans to watch a lot of movies, because especially when you're talking about the stuff from like the late 70s through the 90s, everything was holiday themed.
Right.
But this stuff, Hush, we didn't really like, or I didn't really like Hush. A lot of this stuff, whether it's a remake or it's an original idea, not all of it, but a lot of it, at least to me personally, I seem to think is really good. And there's some of the stuff where, it's good for maybe the wrong reason. We did, let's see, what did we talk about? Zombievers last year. Oh, Wolf Cop.
Wolf Cop?
Yeah, which, I mean, Wolf Cop, that was my favorite movie of last year.
That was pretty good. When's the second one coming out, by the way?
It's done. It should be coming out pretty soon.
Okay, we'll have to hit that one for sure.
There's another movie that I'm assuming we'll be talking about here sooner than later.
Before you say it, can I guess it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Zombies?
That's it, exactly.
I knew it. That's funny.
But I mean, there definitely are stinkers out there. Like I said, I didn't like Hush at all. I know one of the probably most popular horror movies of last year, It Follows. I could not stand that movie at all. But
yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. I heard it had a lot of Carpenter influence.
If it did, I didn't catch it.
Okay.
Maybe it was because I was turned off by the story like immediately. But
yeah, I'll have to check that out just to see it.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and I'm really getting into this whole real independent horror movie thing. I know we talked about it a couple of times before.
Yeah. You
have these young people who go back and discover some of the old horror of the 70s and 80s and kind of use some of that influence to make some of their own movies. And for the most part, a lot of them are doing really good.
Yeah, I do like the idea of independent films. I think that there's something really exciting about that. I think it's a bit more creative if they do it right. You know, like a lot of our favorite movies for crying out loud, Halloween was an independent movie. So I think like typically there's a lot of creativity behind these. This movie I thought was good. I didn't think it was great, and maybe it'll grow on me if I watch it again. There was some really good scares in this movie. Like you said, the scene where she goes into the cell and the door locks behind her and she's stuck in there with the homeless guy and then the lights go out, and all of that was pretty creepy. Like, you know, the weird distorted looking girl that was hiding under the desk, and you know, that whole scene was very disturbing. Closer to the end when we see like the main villain, like, you know, the leader of this cult, and then his two followers, and the way they like portrayed them, that was really creepy, like with the bags on their heads and stuff, and like they were really, really creepy looking. And it had a very interesting, well, like the ending was very up to interpretation, I guess. I mean, I guess we can't give it away, but it was sort of like one of those endings where you just sort of have to accept it as it is, as in the rules of this particular story. I thought it was good. I thought the film was overall. I was pretty well entertained, and it wasn't very long. It was only like an hour and a half long, so it kind of was paced well. I think, like, you know, one of the things though with this film is that, and some of the newer films that I haven't been too excited about, it doesn't seem like they've quite found that really unique thing that really kind of stands out. Like, it seems like they're still kind of in, like, horror right now is still sort of treading water a little bit. They haven't really come up with the next big thing. It's sort of like now they're just sort of churning out these films. And this one was, you know, it was a good quality film, but it didn't have that uniqueness that's going to like make it stand up, and like 10 years from now we'll be like talking about it. You know what I mean? Right.
And one of the things too, I was just reading some other stuff on this one, and just to kind of go right in line with what you just said, I was reading a blurb here on the Wikipedia page, and it even says, I think this is the director of the movie said that he wanted to make, this independent movie, but he was really influenced by Assault on Precinct 13.
No way.
And Manson, a 1973 Charles Manson documentary.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, and I would agree with you on that point of it. I think the last, like, truly... Well, there's two of them. There's, when I think of the last, like, real original horror idea that I can think of that I saw, there's two of them. One's a vampire movie, and one I would almost consider more of a suspense movie than necessarily a straight up horror movie, and that would be Let the Right One In. For I think that was 2008 or so.
Okay.
And then the other one would have been, which I think we talked about this in the last episode, maybe a couple episodes ago, would be the original Saw movie.
Wow. It's funny I was just gonna say that. Like, to me, in my opinion, yeah, like, you're right. You're so right. Like Saw was like one of the last horror movies that really kind of stuck out. Like, kind of stuck out outside of the rest of them. Like, and I think a lot of it had to do with the imagery, like the puppet they used, and like you think of that puppet when you think of the movie, and the storyline, and kind of the uniqueness to it. Yeah, I would have picked those two as well. Like, Let the Right One In was one of my favorite vampire movies for sure, maybe my favorite of all time. Movies like this, I would put it in with Hush, in the sense that it's a well done movie, but there's nothing that really stands out. Like, I don't think you and I will be talking about this 20 years from now the way that we're talking about Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Yeah, and I don't think we'll never have that conversation when we're talking about a future movie when we're 50, 60 years old saying, wow, that reminds me a lot of that Last Shift movie from a couple years ago.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it seems like we need to get something that really kind of stands out. Somebody needs to come up with something. Like, a lot of these Netflix films, they're good movies, they're very good movies, but they just have to, I don't know, there's just got to be a little bit, like you said, like, and Saw, that was a long time ago now.
Right.
And that, and we need something. And, I would even say, to some extent, like the Paranormal Activity movies had kind of that sort of niche to them where they sort of stood out as something a little bit new and fresh. And kind of, at least the first couple, where it just sort of, it wasn't just another run through of typical horror stuff. There was something a little bit new that they brought to the table. But, in terms of like Ring and all that stuff, I mean, that was kind of, the whole supernatural thing was like kind of becoming real popular then. But then, like, the remakes were, at the same time the remakes were coming out, the remakes were taking these old franchises that like did stick out, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Amityville Horror, Friday the 13th, Halloween, all this stuff, and like that people have these, these really kind of hardcore following because they're just they've stood the test of time, and I think that's it's almost like that sort of took over, where so the original stuff really was kind of put on the back burner and there wasn't much being churned out.
Well, I say with that statement, we go ahead and wrap it up, because that kind of leads right into what our next episode is going to be.
You're very right.
All right, everybody. So I give Last Shift a thumbs up.
I'm going to go ahead and do the same.
Okay, cool.
So, I'm going to recommend it.
Yeah, like I said, I do really like it. I don't know, I've seen it a couple of times now. It was one of those movies, when I first saw it a few months ago, I was like, oh, that's really great, and I watched it again a few weeks later. And then when we were talking about this episode, I watched it again, but I don't know if it's a movie that would necessarily have to be on my to-watch list for anything. But I mean, if somebody said, hey, you want to watch Last Shift? I'd be like, sure, yeah, let's watch it.
Well, I definitely watched Last Shift again before watching Terror Train.